All right, welcome everyone. This is a Viper Professional Training and Sport webinar. Today's date is Monday, April the 10th, 2017. And the title of tonight's webinar is Trading Predictors and PM Lightning Trades. And as everyone knows that's been to our webinars or our live trading room, everything that we say and do at Viper Trading Systems is for educational purposes only. Futures trading, Forex trading, any kind of financial instruments trading involves risk. Therefore, there's always risk of loss. You should only trade discretionary capital, and that is money that you can afford to lose. Nothing said in this webinar, other webinars we might have, our live trading room, or anything else with Viper Trading Systems should never be construed as trading or investment advice. And as always, everyone does trade at their own sole discretion. Any questions on the disclaimer? All right, if not, we're going to go ahead and get started. By the way, I want to show you something that I think a lot of people haven't really, paid as much attention to there being three trends on your chart. Because I want to show you something here just real quick. When we talk about the lightning swings and everything, talking about the, higher highs, higher lows and all that, where you actually get the true identified lightning, you know that happens on a lot smaller scale too, right? It happens on, your 4 range and what we call the micro trend, right? Because there are a lot of our traders and some of our best ones as far as that goes that actually watch for this little pattern right here, where you get a higher low, it breaks this little swing here, and they go with a power meter long, and you'd be surprised how those pay off sometimes, okay? So you might take a look at that. Because there's a lot of good trades. Don't do it if you can't see for sure. For instance, even up in here, you have a high, a low, lower high, lower low, lower high, never took out the low, so that's your high, right? Never took it out, right? And then down in here, it started breaking down again, right? And you could actually box it in and all that. But, when they run out of steam and they start doing this to where you can get some of these trades like this, these do pay off. So I just thought I'd bring that up because some of the people that I've talked to on the phone and Skype and things like that have said, some of these trades like that, when they've made a thrust, work out quite well. And I totally agree with that. And just because the background is red and the midband is red doesn't mean that the little trend hasn't changed. That's your micro trend. Okay, it doesn't mean that the medium trend has. And if to stay with the true trend, you really need to stay obviously with the trend, but that doesn't mean you can't scalp these. Okay, just wanted to go over that real quick. Now remember this trade this morning in the room. I'm going to go over some trades with you and show you a little bit about what I'm thinking in the morning, when we take trades. Like for instance, gold and TF were a couple of good ones, and NQ was too, but I decided to put TF up here just so we can all look for it too. Okay, but what I'm going to teach mainly tonight is going to be those predictor trades and the PM lightning type trades. But when you get down to those predictors, if you want to, go ahead and dip the toe, you certainly can do that. Everybody realizes that, right? Because to give an example on this chart right here on oil, I see a little trade setting up right down here at that predictor, which happens to be mid-band like that. Okay, and that particular trade was actually called in the room this morning. And the chart was diagnosed and everything, remember? And we actually got that little trade. So what you can actually do, if you don't want to risk a lot, you can actually, just the second it touches that line, just fire a market order. Okay, then you can actually wait for like the little PM break, to give an example, but then you've got to hold it for your runner. Okay, and a lot of our people do just that. Another way is also we do these boxes with the strategy. You can actually do it with Time Trader if you want to. I don't personally do Time Trader. Some of our people do. I just box in. To give an example, like this trade right here being at a predictor, I would just simply hit my little region. Now keep in mind, I've got a little different region than you do right now anyway. and I would set it like that, and I'd be ready to take the trade. Now, if this was to actually break up above here, you could go ahead and set it, for instance, this is your long. You're going to do like a touch +2 usually is quite nice. I've found that predictors work real well on even touch +1, but you may miss something too, okay? And you just set your chart and you're ready to go, okay? Now over here on this one, now notice this has gone through a predictor, but what trade hasn't set up on this chart just yet? Some of y'all that have been with us a while. We started the room right about this time. So what trade is setting up on the Russell chart? And the answer is a phantom, right? Yeah, exactly. There you go. Lots of you got that. Because, when you get a break, I'm going to show you something here that works out quite often. All right, notice that you have a thrust down, a retrace, and a thrust down. I could draw it because that's your lightning 3. So we'll go ahead and draw it. Okay, now notice when this takes this out right up here. This, by the way, is why breakout trades don't work. Okay, but see how that's actually starting to try to take that out right there? Okay, even just a little bit, that's pretty much telling you, and the trend changed. Notice that our software caught that. So we're looking for long trades. Doesn't mean that you couldn't have boxed this in and gotten a quick short too, though. Because we do this all the time. You could have literally just boxed it just like this. And, if you had no bias, you could have actually gotten your little trade to the downside too, right? Because you would have been boxing it from over here, the way it's actually doing. You already got this trade. You're boxing it here and you got you a short, right? But there's a phantom trade setting up right here. And what I would do personally with this particular little trade, and I didn't mention talking about phantoms tonight, but we'll go ahead and do it too, would be a wedge type trade. And I would draw a ray like this first, and then I would draw a ray like this, okay? And simply turn on my ray, okay? And usually on that one, you want to do a close of the bar, okay? And if it goes ahead and breaks, if it keeps just breaking down, more than likely we're not going to get this trade to begin with. But that's one of those Y-shaped trades. Now, what if it just barely broke this, came up and kissed resistance and rolled over? Well, then we'd have to look at it at very possibly, getting out of the trade for one thing, right? Okay. And you can trade it both ways when it goes sideways like that. So that's our trade here. Long out, close above, we'll be okay on that one. This one's already set up. Now, what about this one on gold? Well, gold, right now, when I did this chart, we're just about the time the room opens. See, it's 7:52. So this is about, I usually open the room at about 7:52, 7:51, something like that. Okay, so this is a legitimate time that we're starting to look for trades. All right, so what you could do with this one here would be to box it in or a wedge. That would be your wedge right there. This would be your box. Just go to like this, like that. That would be your box on your gold. Okay. Now, it'd be great if they go ahead and come back down, obviously, where we could get in here. So I'd probably turn this on. But since this is at the open of the market, we could go ahead and just leave it boxed either direction. All right, and we'll see which one of those actually closes for us. We'll go ahead and do 3 there too. All right. Now, one of my favorite trades is obviously these predictors. I think they work extremely well. See here, if you were up at 1 o'clock in the morning, there's a predictor trade, there's a predictor trade, none there. Maybe here, but maybe not. That looks like 2 ticks away. This one looks to me like within 49 to 51 is 2 ticks. So you might have missed that one, but you probably wouldn't have. Okay. And keep in mind that even on predictor trades, they still do what we call lightning. Okay. And you can, of course, draw right here. As a matter of fact, you could see that lightning would have changed right on that bar right there at 59 approximately. Probably would have been filled at 60. Okay. So let's see if these trades go ahead and work out. Now, does everybody pretty much look at your charts this way each and every day? You know, once we get started in the morning, to give an example, these predictor trades, if you don't get greedy about it, but just try to get some coin and then, you know, basically decent stops once you get some profit, okay, they work out pretty nice. Okay, and especially if you watch, for instance, if this starts breaking up, remember I said this morning in the room, we started getting a lightning to the upside. Well, guess what? It also would do it to the downside if it pulls back, so you can always get out, you know, at your lightning swings, because these predictors are going to show you where object trader bar colors here and everything thinks these prices are going to go. Okay, and that's what we're looking for, is these predictor type trades. And the one thing that I'm trying my dead level best to get done is that trader that will just automatically do this. Because to me, if I got, you know, let's say for instance that this one didn't do it here, but maybe it does a little bit later, okay? What if you had a chart doing it here, chart doing it here, and a chart doing it here, and say one of them didn't pan out? You still made money. Let me get this back over here, like so. All right, so let's go ahead and fire it up and see. Now, since I hadn't had this fired up, this may trade here and it may not. We're going to find out. If it doesn't, I'm going to hit market, because you remember you have to have a bar close, and of course I had the data stopped and everything, so that can affect it. So if that closes, it'll either fire it automatically or we'll get it. Notice we didn't quite get down to our little predictor just yet. Let's see, thrust retrace. I'm going to resize my box simply because I don't want, there we go, we're going to be okay anyway. Looks like we're going to get something here. Touch +1. We could go 2. This is still a phantom trade over here, isn't it? Okay, it looks like we got filled on this one. Okay, we haven't gotten filled on this one yet, and we haven't gotten filled on this one. Oh, look at that box drawing right there. That's that box that some of our traders, Greg to give an example, watches for this box here and boxes it in. And you can get some pretty good trades on that. I'm going to go ahead and fire it if it closes above the box. And that closed on the line, so let's see if this one closes above the line. See if it closes above the line. I think I got my cell phone in here, it buzzed. There we go, we got it, okay. So we didn't have to hit this or anything, we're good to go. Now, always look at your chart and see where the trade could possibly go. That's extremely important, okay? Because when you get a phantom trade, so you have a thrust, retrace, thrust. So that's resistance right there. And I would probably watch it just in case it rolls over at mid-band. Okay? So we'll watch this particular trade. We got a little bit of coin on it. Let's see what our other one's doing. We got in our gold one too. Everybody see that on the gold? We got in gold. So we're up a little bit, not much yet, but it's just right at the open. You got resistance right here at mid-band on Russell. Everybody sees that, right? So let's get rid of our trend line and see if we can go for a gusto, but let's see if we hit our head at resistance, because remember when you get a phantom, and I watched Charles's webinar on Saturday too. You've always got to be concerned, is it going to actually be, the time that trend change, or is it going to slop around? Well, you know where resistance is right here on the chart, right? We draw this all the time in the room. So our resistance is right there. If it hits that and rolls over, I would probably reshort it. And by the way, you can do that with these tools, or you can play it a little bit safer and draw a trend line. And that will be under the bottom. So we'll do this one, and we'll reverse it if it happens to take out that trend line, or we'll go for the gusto. So that'll reverse 3. We've got 1 on. All right, remember this in gold this morning? I called this live. Remember I said protect some coin at 252.60? So you wanted to fade it a little bit, which it looks like we got this one faded anyway, so we're good. But what do you expect it to do when it gets there? Well, if it doesn't take out the high, then what could we do as traders? We could actually use our trend line again. And we could be ready for that thing at any time. Okay, now you notice that we got only one predictor trade so far. Let's see, we didn't reverse just yet. Bear with me a second. That should have reversed. I'm going to redraw it right there and see if it will. Perfect at my resistance too. Now usually as a rule, when it doesn't take out resistance, you get that rollover bar. I'd probably short this thing already, and you can reverse it if you want, but we'll let it break the trend line if it's going to. Came up a little bit higher. There's kind of a reverse a little bit. Still got our long on, but if it breaks our trend line, we'll go ahead and short it. Our gold is still intact. Now, when you see this happening in real time, and I know a lot of our people do this, by the way, see this trend line that's right through here? Could you draw it and be ready just in case this doesn't take out this top right here? For instance, this is still a short. I mean, even though we got a long because we got this box this morning, we got the long based on a smaller trend, okay? But we could be ready for that trade just like that with a short outside. We could still ride our runner just in case it just blows up through here, right? But we could also get ready, if it doesn't take out resistance, to short it based on a trend line break. Now, one thing I noticed about the predictor type trades, if they take out a predictor like this did right here, this more than likely is a trend change, and I mentioned that this morning in the room. Now, it doesn't mean it's a trend change yet, because it's going to hit its head at resistance more than likely, roll over and test support, and then break out. That's what they usually do. Okay? If they take out 1252.60, even by a tick or two, then more than likely they will change trends. Okay? Let's see, I would have my stop at break even on CL and gold. Yeah, you could go ahead and do that, or if you did want to, for instance, if you wanted to go ahead and reverse a trade like based on a trend line break, and I would probably just go for like 10 ticks, something like that, and that didn't reverse, I would absolutely reverse it myself. See it at the trend line? Because, and there's your predictor, by the way. Okay, and I would also do this, and the second this thing pops up and does a little break, I'd go long. See there? That's right at the open, by the way. This is that trade that I called this morning in the room at Phantom, and it was a monster nice trade. Okay, notice how that actually reversed on our gold. Let's see where we're going on gold though. We got support right here, so I'd want to take off at least a couple of them at mid-band, wouldn't you? You should. All right, and then we'll ride a runner. Now this predictor right here, remember when I talked in the room this morning about gold hitting a predictor? We're going to have this new predictor where it'll actually have a little call here called predictor, but you're going to be able to choose require trend or not. For instance, if this comes down and bounces off this predictor and I want it long, you can actually take it long. Now the way it'll do with trend, it'll only look for white ones for shorts and green ones for long. Okay, but we're gonna code it to where it'll be both ways. Beautiful little trade, by the way. And you could always be ready, just in case, for a trend line break. Back to the upside. That's if it breaks my trend line with a close, and we're still riding our runner. Okay. You could also even use, since this is actually basically pretty much, you know, starting to head up, it hasn't really broken totally to the upside just yet, and we just went to break even on our stop. I'll go ahead and move this out of the way because I'm going to reverse it if it breaks that trend line. It's right at predictor. See if it reverses. If not, I'll reverse it. That's my upper trend line, which is long outside. This is that trade that I called in the room this morning that we see. There you go. You just reversed it. Then, of course, you just get one of your targets up to the top, one of your targets up to the previous swing to the left. Always look to the left to trade the right. That's the way we trade it. And look at Russell go on without us. But remember this trade in the room this morning? We nailed this trade. Okay? But does everybody remember that we also got a really good trade on Russell when it did a decent little retrace? Anybody? Because you can get those too. And by the way, that's breaking a trend line. So if you did want that, you could actually go ahead and do it. See the little swing? And go ahead and get your targets out of the way. Sometimes you just got to see those in your mind. See, it broke that trend line right there on that bar. So we got a tad late, but we got it. So we're okay. Now let's watch for a PM type trade to give an example. Let's see if we can get a PM trade that we can actually get long on Russell. We're already long on it, but let's see if we can actually either add to it or get us a PM trade that we can go ahead and go into a trade if we get stopped out. We're at break even on our trade. Remember, this morning in the room, we moved our stop just under the swings. We got our targets out of the way. You'd probably want to at least take a target or two off, though. Okay. What about crude now? Anyone? You want to try a predictor type trade? Let's see if we can get a predictor. Got a trend line. I'll draw that. We're not going to do a wedge. We'll do a predictor. It's got to get above our predictor. Still haven't gotten our predictor going red just yet. What do you think? That actually looked like a pretty decent little trade, actually. I think we just missed it. I drew my box on the money. Just didn't get it turned on. That's okay. We missed that one. See where I drew it? Right there where I wanted it, but unfortunately I'm actually a little bit late on it. Now if I did this one, I'd probably just scalp it for like 5 ticks. You see what I mean? In other words, if it's already busted up and I'm, 10 ticks away from the trade already anyway, I'd probably just do a scalp on it. And you can always look to the left to trade the right too. You got a swing right there at 82 and a swing right there at 86, 87. So we could probably get a scalp. Everybody see where I drew that box? That's where I called the trade in the room this morning. Was right there on that swing. Let's see what else we got. Russell got stopped out. That's okay. It's 8:55. What do you think? You want to wait for a little bit deeper retrace? Or what do you think? You want to just go for it? Let's do a trend line. I think I just missed it. Nope, I got it. Get our targets out of the way. Now, why did I go ahead and not wait for that predictor? Anybody? Because you can see you've got lightning on this other side, and that's even a higher low, and it did break a trend line. Now, does that mean that, I shouldn't be already taking some pretty decent profit? Well, the way this thing was moving this morning, it didn't necessarily come down to predictors, but it does definitely break trend lines. Okay, let's see if we can get an actual predictor trade though. We'll watch it, see if we can get one. Get our target. Yeah, let's go ahead and take one target off. That way we don't have 3 contracts on. That's quite a few. Okay, let's see. We're flat on this one, so we got to wait for a predictor trade. Totally sideways Charlie, remember it this morning? That's predictor trade trend line break. We took it and we got profit. Let's see if we can get another break trade. Now, by the way, if you do want to short this little trend line here even, keep in mind that there's always the possibility you could lose on one. For instance, if I short that, I'd probably just want to do like maybe 5, 10 ticks at the most, and I would have probably already hit that instead of waiting on the trend line if you're an aggressive trader, because it is breaking a trend line and it could very well possibly give us a decent little trade, right? And I'd probably put my stop just above there with exit on close just in case. Okay, that's if you want to go against the trend line. In other words, while it's chopping like this, and that's what that new trader is going to do, by the way. It'll make that decision for you if you want it to. It'll get that trade, it'll get that trade. Now, will this trade work out? We don't know. But if we program the new trader that's going to be called Auto Trendline Trader to take 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, that was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It wouldn't have taken that one because you didn't get 6, you got 5. But if you did code it for, not code it, but actually choose 5 instead, it would have gotten it anyway. Let's see if it works out. Got resistance right across there. Okay, let's look at our other charts and see what we got. We're flat again. We missed a predictor. Everybody see it? Missed that predictor. That's why I can't wait to get that little trader built. See that? That trade would have fired automatically and you would have gotten a scalp. Not a bad way to trade. Try another predictor. There's a predictor. Will it work? We don't know. We'll find out. It's a predictor trade though, isn't it? I'd probably go to break even about now just in case. See if we can get it. There we got it. We got it. All right. The beauty of this new trader will be that it'll take that trade and it'll take that trade automatically. You want to see if it'll get another one? Predictor. Okay, you have a high, a low, a lower high, a lower low. So you basically got a little trend to the downside on what we call meter 2. There's a predictor, by the way. See that predictor? Well, we already got our targets too quick. See how you'll be able to scalp these predictors? That's going to be a pretty cool way to trade. Let's try it again. Let's see if we can get another predictor, unless we get a runaway. If we get a runaway, what do, everyone? We wait for it to break, pull back and kiss, and then take it. Wouldn't it be great to have a trader that'll actually take that trade, and take that trade? That'd be a one and done almost, wouldn't it? And then instead of this choppy garbage, you might be able to make some coin, because what we're looking for right now is a green predictor. By the way, we could have shorted. See where it's trying to break that power meter? You want to try a quick one for it's breaking a trend line. You want to try that? Why isn't that selling? Oh, it did sell for me. Okay. I don't have my targets. That's something that we're working on right there. It did not give my targets. So I'm going to go ahead and close it out because we don't have any targets to show. We'll wait for another predictor. And I'm going to have to restart it real quick. And we should be fine again. Predictor trades. Let's see. We didn't get one there. It didn't come down close enough. If it comes down and bounces off predictor, I'm going to grab it. There it is. See it right there, right at a predictor. And all I'm really wanting on this is just some quick moves while it's sideways. You could go ahead and run a runner if you want, but if you're going to run a runner, I'd pretty much go to break even fairly quickly. Simply because you could have actually taken coin already rather than running a runner. Okay, when it's sideways choppy like this, you don't have to run runners if you don't want to. Because what happens usually, just what it's doing right now, it's going to come right down and test my patience, and then it may break up. Everybody see that? Actually, Dan, on this one, I was just strictly using market, but yeah, you could use the bar close too, absolutely. Okay. What I was trying to show you also, though, is the way the new trader will take it, because the way we've designed the new trader is if it gets within one tick of that and ticks back up, it'll fire that trade, so you'd be in probably right where I got it. Okay. If you wait for the bar close, which you're going to have the option of also, then you'd get in on this bar right here. Everybody sees that, right? Now, where do you think, if this thing was going to change directions, where do you think it would change? Anybody? See, you're starting to get, it's going pretty sideways, isn't it? But when you're diagnosing your chart, isn't this your medium swing? And we've gotten 1, 2, 3, 4 predictors. Okay? Now, you could still have stayed long on this because obviously you're going to take out this top more than likely. Like that. See that? We were calling that in the room this morning live. And by the way, if you want to, if that went the other direction and you're a quick trader, you could actually short that lightning swing if you wanted to, or if you drew a trend line. When they double top like that, basically you're heading up until you take out that line that I've drawn there, right? Let's see, well, those long predictors need an up bar to fire. Well, the way we're trying to design this, Lee, on your question, you're talking about where they're a little bit longer predictors than the shorter ones here? Is there any significance to the dashed line in the middle and the opposite end of the predictor circle? Well, what we're doing on the designing of this is basically a predictor. This is what it's going to be looking at, but it's still going to know where one tick from the top of it is. Okay, see, we got that trade, PM to the downside. Trendline break, right? Now, what if this was to keep going down? Does anybody remember in the room this morning where we called NQ, where you absolutely could have taken that trade? Does anybody know what you'd be looking at? Because it's really important. Look to the left to trade the right. You'll see it. The short, wasn't it? Yeah, absolutely. And we nailed it too. By the way, if this was to break down, where do you think it'll kiss again? Looking to the left to trade the right. Anybody want to bet on that? Because they usually do. See, now this has changed trends. You got a red background. You got a magenta midband. Okay, we called that trade in the room this morning, but you want to see how beautifully to see it in real time? You draw on your charts in your mind, or you draw them in real time, and you watch for a predictor. Anybody think that'll probably hit its head? It can't take out 74.40 because you've got a thrust, retrace, thrust, retrace, thrust. That's your lightning swing. So you'd be looking for a trade in this box. Like that. And the best thing you can ever look for is a predictor. And like I say, once we get that little trade done, there it is. There's your predictor. Have you see that? Right at a predictor. Now, if you're an aggressive trader, you could absolutely just hit the market order. You could put your stop just above the previous swing because it's right there. Okay? Everybody see that? Now, does that mean it won't go higher than the predictor? That's why you can also use this little trade instead, the PM trade. I'll show you. Let's see, we've got 7 on for some reason there. I don't want to do more than, I'll go ahead and take some off, and then we'll go ahead and do a PM trade. See, we're at 3. PM should be right under here. There it is. And I think that was because it fired fairly quick because it closed right here more than likely as far as the broker was concerned. I'm not sure on that because I see green here. And technically that shouldn't have fired, but it may have fired because it's looking to the left to trade the right. It may have fired when it actually took that out because that is a swing over there to the left. The way it's designed. Okay, so we got a nice little trade there. Does anybody remember how far this thing dropped while we were in the room? Yeah, and I think what that did, Diane, I'm pretty sure that what it was looking at when it was doing this, it was looking over here to the left, and this was a swing area too. And so when it actually went underneath it, it fired, but we had already fired it higher, so it averaged, but I'm pretty sure it fired right there. Now, what if you missed this trade entirely? Let's go ahead and take some off. We're not going to carry 4 all the way down. Because what have we got now to choose from? Trendline trades, predictor trades, right? Let's see if we can get some trades again. We've got 4 left on, but let's see if we can get this one out. Remember, Russell dropped quicker than NQ did, but then NQ actually finally did drop, and we got a good trade on it too. Let's see, real far back to the open, you think, is it a break of the swing rather than a color change? It is a break of the swing instead of a color change. So you won't necessarily see the color change, you know, especially if it's like a fast movement, but it is the swing itself. There we go. Got some nice little trades. All right, so you missed all this. Where's your next trade on this chart? Anybody? Well, draw on your charts and let's see if we can figure it out. Predictor's all the way up here right now, but it's out of sight and out of mind because it's past it. Okay, so that's predictor's done. So what I like to do is draw on my charts, and I'll be looking for a trade. No sooner, it's got to get back to at least 1371.80. And we'll see where our predictor fires. See if we can get another trade. We'll just do a PM trade. Not a PM trade, but a predictor trade. Just the way it'll fire when you get it. All right, let's see here. I missed it. Missed it by a tick. Missed it by a tick. I didn't want to miss it by a tick, but I did. Oh well. Everybody see that? That would have fired automatically. That would have been a pretty decent trade too, wouldn't it? I can't wait to get that thing done, because if you had that set at one tick, that fired a 10-tick trade. And with 2 contracts, that's a $100 bill. And it just keeps doing it and doing it and doing it. All right, so we missed that one. No harm, no foul. I drew the line, just couldn't get it in time. So let's see if we can get another one. Predictor. Still got one on, so we got a runner. Now, occasionally, mid-band trades, one thing I want to caution you about mid-band trades, the first one is about 80 to 85% profitable and high probability. The second one drops to about 50-50, 55 is what our people have said. And by the time you get to your third one, they're even losing some credibility after that. Your first one is almost a gold mine. The second one, you got to be careful, because a lot of times they'll do like check resistance and even go higher very possibly and then roll over. Okay, that happens a lot, especially when they've dropped this much. That's what you really want to watch. We used to have, matter of fact, I think it's still in our book, 76.80 to 68.60. That's literally 80 ticks. So that pretty much negates another yellow bar probe. You're really looking for a deeper probe than that. But now, as far as predictor's concerned, you know, if we do this new predictor and it turns on, we would fire that trade. Okay? More than likely it would have fired probably, well, actually it wouldn't have yet, because, yeah, it would have on that bar right there. That's where it would have fired. Okay? And it's up to the individual what they want to do with these trades, but I would probably let this trade at least come up into this area here without putting my stop too tight. Simply because if you don't do that, they're more than likely going to do like an ABC on you. It looks like we're getting a target at least. Now you can, if you want to, just go back into it. Just put your stop like right there. If it takes it out, go back in. And that's what a lot of people do. We've got 3 contracts on. Let's see if we get anything on this. Looks like we're going to get stopped out. Got stopped out. Where's our next predictor? Right there. What do you think? Yeah, let's take it. It's right at resistance. See what I'm getting at on these? A lot of times they do this little bit. Now this is actually trying to head up a little bit, so we may have caught, you know, a little missile. Or you can simply don't take that trade and do a PM trade, and it should fire as soon as that turns red, which should be under there. Whoop, got to turn that back on. You can do it that way. It's going to fire late. That's a breakout. There you go. You're in it. Put your stop just above the swing. Now that bounced right off support. You got a thrust, retrace, thrust. Hadn't changed trends by any means yet, though, has it? But you can put a tight stop on this. Just above the swing right there. Just in case. And then there's another predictor. I'm going to go ahead and fire it. Came within a tick of it. See if we get something on that one. See how good those predictors can actually turn out for you? And by the way, you'd probably want to move your target. And I'd probably want to move this one. It's already hit here. See where my cursor's moving along? So I'd probably want to at least go down to this low. Anytime they've tested them, you know, if they bounce there, obviously we're going to tighten our stop. But if they take this out, they're going to come down here anyway. Now, you think predictors might actually work out pretty well for us all? Because we've seen time and time again how they work. There's a predictor that worked right there. There's a predictor that worked right there. One there that, might have been a scalp. There's one that worked. There's one that worked. They give you some great trades. Now, one thing I find too, if you want to, you know, for instance, this looks like it's chopping around a little bit, but my power meter 2 is still green. I can actually go ahead and fire a trade if it takes that out. See there? Just got some more added. The reason I did that, because if it was going to break down, it was going to change that power meter to the downside. Now, real quick though, what if somebody wasn't even in a trade and they said, you know what, those are some of the best trades? Well, there's another one sitting up right there. Want to try it? Right there at resistance. It came down below it. It's going to check it. Could I put my stop tight? Yeah, we could put it above mid-band. I don't want to put it right here just in case it blips up and then still rolls over. See how resistance? Now that didn't do a predictor, but did you notice what it did do? It did exactly what we teach. Lightning thrust down, retrace to resistance, rolls over. Lightning up, pulls back to support, heads up. And that type of trading works extremely well. And by the way, even a little break, you know, if it breaks that swing right there, you want to take some off, for instance, if it comes down like through here at the swing. Oh, look at that thing go. I got stopped out, or not stopped out, hit targets. So if you hit a target like that, what would be your next move? Anybody? I mean, that thing's dropping like a stone. What do? Just take a chance and hit the market order? Probably. Actually, see how it's breaking these little swings? But the best trade that you can make is actually wait for some kind of retracement. So let's see if we can get one. All right, let's look. We've got resistance there. We've got resistance all the way up here, but I don't think they're going that high. That's way above mid-band. Got resistance right here. And stealth line is right there. Let's see if we can get us another trade. Not yet. Come on, retrace some for us, for crying out loud. Is it going to give a predictor? It's hard to say. This thing's dropping like a stone. That's right at stealth. I think I just missed it. Doggone it, just missed it again. That's all right. It hit stealth. Notice that? We were watching for stealth. Now, the one thing you don't want to do is that. Okay, if you hit market order when it's thrust down like this, if you do something like that, you've almost literally just got to put your stop just above the little swing because it's more than likely going to get you. You see what I mean? You don't want to do that. Now, will this work? Well, it could. But keep in mind that if it doesn't, then you've just paid your broker and you're going to be down a few ticks. It looks like this one's going to work anyway, but you know, if you do that, it came to a little resistance area is the reason I did that, but it turned out to luck out on that one. Okay, let's look to the left to trade the right. Support down there at 61.10. Whoop, sorry about that. What a monster trade even from there. See how it kissed stealth again really close? Now, the only thing is this would never get you in with a predictor though. Look at that bounce right where I said it would. Always draw on your charts. You can tell right where they're going. Now, do you see a predictor now in our future? Absolutely. Let's go ahead and sell some. See why I did that? What's sitting right there on the chart? Predictor. And did I sell it at predictor because it touched predictor? Exactly the way our new program will do. If it stops me out, I'll do another one. I'd probably put the stop just right above there. We'll keep our runner going. That's a good idea. See how these predictors can work for you to see these trades? Now, if I get stopped out, what do you think I should do? I should go with another predictor, right? You want to do a trend line instead? We can do that. What does everybody think? Predictor or trend line? PM trades, somebody says. Okay, let's do a PM instead. Let's see if our new predictor PM will work. We're just going to kill this trade, and I'm going to go with a PM short. Now, usually if they do a low, a high, a higher low, you're going to get a higher high. So I'd be careful with this predictor here. If that turns red, we'll take it anyway, but we'll see. We'll see. Nope, still green. Have you ever thought about putting a stealth trader in the tools? Seems the price touches stealth quite a bit when the markets are moving. Joseph, I can actually add that. Yeah, when they're moving like that, that would be a really good one, especially if we coded it to object trader. Because to give an example, see, this didn't touch stealth. But what if you had it coded, or not coded, but where if it came like within X ticks of stealth and the bar closed, you'd still get that trade. Yeah, we could do that. Okay, let's see here. Still stair-stepping up so far. Power meter. Power meter will turn red right underneath that line I'm drawing right there. There you go. Just got it. See how power meter can work too? It's a pretty good little trading system. I think between all of us that have contributed to this thing, you know, the traders that have been with us a long time, the ideas that we've gotten from people, you know, it just really works out. And I'm looking real forward to getting this one done. Because this PM trade and these predictor trades can make a huge difference in your account. But you can't be scared of them. If they don't work out, to give an example like back here, you remember this one? You know, I fired it right at predictor, right? But then we put our stop right here and it stopped us out. But then we got right back in at predictor and got a trade. We got right back in at predictor here and got that monster nice move. And now we just got in a predictor again with a PM trade. Is it going to work? Well, that's another predictor right there, isn't it? I think I'll just, well, we could add. You want to? If it doesn't stop us out, we'll turn that on. It's right at a predictor. It knows the way this price is doing. Where do you think this would add to this trade if we don't get stopped out? I bet it fires right under that line. What's the short 3 go to 6? It should anyway. If we don't get stopped out, we might get stopped out. Okay, we got stopped out. No big deal. We'll go back in. Now it'll fire more than likely right there, but that's the same high, so it might not. We'll find out. Yeah, I did. Okay. Everybody see how you can use predictors in your trading now? You know, the thing is, if they don't work out, like I said, just get out of them fairly quickly. Okay? Because, you know, you're going to get caught in a trend change occasionally, obviously, you know, because predictors, you know, basically what they're doing here, even they were trying to change trends, they just couldn't do it. You had a low, a high, a higher low, and a higher high. They never took out the high. See there? Never took it out. So we're probably still going to head down some more. But be ready for that next trade. Let's see. I'm almost through with the webinar, but let's see if we can get in one more predictor trade. We're not going to just take a PM trade. We added that feature to Object Trader where you can just take a PM trade. Okay? But where you want to take them the most times is around the predictors. Would I actually add to this? Probably so. See this right here? Trying to take out that swing. Target's right down there at 61.12. Back to break even on the stop. Good little trade. All right, now diagnose your chart. Draw your lines. That's right at mid-band, so that's perfect, isn't it? And we'll wait for a predictor. You want to just pretend we didn't have a single trade for the day and see if we can get one predictor that works out again? Let's just close it. Let's just do that. Okay, mid-band says right here instead. Let's see where predictor says. Wait for it to turn green. And I'm going to wait for a white predictor. This could still go down. I don't care if it does. What we're going to look for, though, is a predictor trade and see if we can get any kind of a trade. What speed am I replaying at? It's only 6 times. There's a predictor. I'm just going to do it in market. It's got to get up there, though. No predictor trade yet. There might be. Come on, predictor. Come on, you can do it. Come on. No predictor trade still. If you had your auto predictor on that's going to be added to Object Trader, see, it would never fire this trade yet. But what if you had it to where it was looking for predictor within like 1 tick, like that? And then it clicks down 1 tick. That's what we want it to fire at. See if we can get it. Now, if this predictor doesn't happen to work, obviously we'll get another thrust down and we'll get another predictor. I'm in. Now keep in mind that's an aggressive trade. That's fairly aggressive. But the reason I took it is because predictor is right there, and look at that trade workout. You want to go for a runner, or you just want to hit scalps on this? How many thrusts have we had? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. It's over. More than likely it's going to be over. The most that you want to look for on these huge moves even, as a rule, is going to be a good thrust. There's one. There's retrace. There's two. There's retrace. And there's even a third right there. So if this was to change trends, what do you think it would take out before it did? Well, it's got a stair step first, right? Could we take one more predictor trade? We can do that. Let's see if we can get one. Let's see if we can get one. That's a predictor. See if we can get that one. 10 ticks is all I want. This could be a trend change. We'll find out. Hadn't got our 10 ticks yet. You can put your stop obviously just above the predictor. The one thing I found out is if they take out these predictors, you know, just barely and they roll over, you're okay. Then they form another one, you're still okay. But if they take this one out, and then your next predictor, they take it out too, more than likely you'll be very possibly changing. What does everybody think about trading like this? It works, doesn't it? I'm going to go ahead and tighten my stop. A double bottom there is why. Could be over. Now, if you're the type that likes to box in, you've got a low, a high, same low, so you got to recount again. Low, high, higher, low. If you do get a higher high, you could do a little breakout trade. And if you do that, I'd put my stop literally just right under mid-band. Everybody see why I did that? Now, what would be the best thing to do, though? Wait for it to come back into stealth. See if it does. We'll kill that trade because I took a breakout trade. Let's see if we can get into stealth. And by the way, that was a decent little phantom trade to the downside, but we missed it. Came right into stealth. Bar closed to the upside. Could you take that? Sure. I put my stop under mid-band just in case, though. Everybody see why that's a trend change? You got a low, you got a high, you got a higher low, you got a higher high. Now, a safer trade would be this. Wait for it to pull back and then draw a trend line. You know, if it breaks that trend line, fire the trade. See there? Because what are you waiting on? Anytime you see it break, for instance, when it starts looking like it's changing directions, it's going to thrust up and it's going to pull back. And it's going to give you that kiss type trade. So would you want to do any more? You wouldn't want to do this one, right? No, because that's going to be changing this mid-band even to green by the time it gets up there. Watch and see if it doesn't happen. Still rose, not yet, but it'll change here any moment. Definitely not a bad way to trade, is it, everyone? Everybody says try. 2 people are saying try one more. All right, let's do it. We'll watch for a predictor trade. You want to just pretend you're not even in a trade? We don't even care? Or do you want to let this run? I'd probably let it run because it looks like it's on fire. Yeah, let's let it run. But we'll watch for a predictor trade, though, for somebody that's not already in it. Okay? See if we can get one. One predictor trade coming up. Mid-band turn green. Now, this thing might run like crazy for a while, though. We'll find out. And I would probably, the moment it comes down and touches that right there, I'd probably fire some more contracts on myself, because that's what they're trying to do, is touch that. And if they didn't, I'd probably fire them anyway, because it's above resistance. But that's up to you if you're that aggressive or not. You can kind of tell what it's doing. Okay, it doesn't look like we're going to get a predictor trade for a bit, but let me speed it up and let's see if a predictor actually works on the very next one. Okay, we're flat. Couldn't move my targets in time, but let's see if a predictor works. Predictor right there. I think I just missed it. Everybody see it came within one tick. I've got this going at 500 times, so I obviously couldn't catch it. But now, does everybody see what you're looking for when you're trading? Notice that that predictor showed up in real time, and with that new trader that we're designing, if you had that thing set for 65.80, it came down to 66, it looks like. So you would have had to have had a 2-tick on that. So the thing is, about 1 or 2 ticks doesn't really matter a lot, because if they're going to come down to the predictor and then bounce, if you set it for 2 or 3 ticks, I think you're going to be okay, because you really want that bar to close to begin with, and you would have gotten that trade. Okay? So predictors work, don't they? I don't know what it did the rest of the afternoon, but I'll bet your next predictor probably scalped at least. All right? So, don't just jump in and, try 10 contracts or something like that. Play with it and see what you think. Because you can absolutely do this type of trading with the software that we've built for everyone. And also keep in mind that as long as it's heading up, like in lightning form, to give an example, you're still heading up. But what if you were watching this thing and it did something like this? Let's say that it came up and, that's a huge move, right? So what if it did this and came up and gave like a lower high? Now, we don't know where it's going to do it. All right, what if it did something like this and then rolled over? Wouldn't that be lightning breaking to the downside if it takes that out? Watch and see, because that's the way the patterns are. Watch it. Okay, there you go. Everybody see that? Thrust, retrace. Didn't do it quite like I drew it, okay, because obviously the prices weren't there at the time. But look at that. This is the way we would now draw that if you saw it in real time. It came down like that. That's your lightning thrust, right? And then you had your retrace lightning, like so. And when did that actually start changing trends? When it quits going up with lightning. Look at this, the way they do. They thrust up. You don't have a low because they didn't take out the high. You don't have a low because they didn't take out the high. Do you have a low here? Yeah, because they took out the high. Then you have a low here. They didn't take out the high, right? You had a low here. They did take out the high. So there's your low, right? And then where's this one changing directions? We got a thrust down, retrace, and breaks. That's why all the time we like to box below midband and stuff like that. Now, if you didn't catch the downtrend to begin with, where do you think the next trade is on the chart? And I am definitely going to wrap. I'm going to leave it at 500, but I want to show you what it'll do. I don't have to look at anything. There you go. Just got you a trade. See where it came to, where it broke down, rolled over, predictor trade. Your PM trade would have fired right under there. And you'd be in this trade. Let's see what it actually did. There you go. Just got you a trade. Definitely not a bad way to trade, huh, everyone? Learn to draw on those charts, and it makes a world of difference. And if they take out your predictor, to give an example, you can always go back in. Let's say that you had fired it here and you didn't get your 5 ticks. You get stopped out. Well, it came up here and did a rollover, and you got another one. So obviously those type of trades are good. Where would this trade change back to the upside if it was to decide to? Drawing on your charts, you could see that you got a medium swing right there at 68. If it breaks it, more than likely it's going to head up. I don't know if it did, but let's see. There you go. See there? When did this actually change directions? When it took out that lightning swing. And that's the way we designed our software, so we can all see this in literally real time. Okay? Sorry everyone, I ran about 11 minutes late. Thank you very much for coming. Hope you enjoyed it. Use the PM Trader. Use, see your lightning in real time and draw on your charts, and you'll be amazed at what happens. If this particular trade, just to give an example, that's a double top. I'm not trusting this as much. Okay, but let's say that we fire this and it takes this out. Well, we could just go ahead and kill our trade. That's a predictor trade. Will it work? We don't know. But there's your lightning swing too at 69. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work, and it won't kill us. 6 ticks. Okay? Thanks everyone for coming. Hope you enjoyed it, and we'll trade in the morning. Hopefully you have a monster day tomorrow like we did today. 99.99% trade calls, I do believe. All right, thanks everyone. Have a great one, and I'll have this posted in about the next 20 minutes. Good night. You're sure welcome. Good night, everyone.